Dear students, today let's understand a poem which is in your textbook of English and it is titled Why the Mind is Without Fear. The author of this poem is Rabindranath Tagore. First of all, let's get the introduction of the author. Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th May 1861 and he died on August 7, 1941 in Calcutta, which is nowadays called Kolkata. You know that. And Rabindranath Tagore was the first person from India who received Nobel Prize in the field of literature. He was awarded Nobel Prize on November 14, 1913 for his book Gitanjali. Gitanjali is a book of poems written by Rabindranath Tagore in Bengali language. As he belonged to Calcutta, their language is Bengali. Later on, they were translated into English by him and many co-authors of his period. India's national anthem, dear students, Jana Gana Mana, that has also been written by Rabindranath Tagore. Now, let's know what the poem wants to convey. This poem is basically, it is the imagination of the author. We can say Tagore here in this poem, he draws an ideal picture of free India. The poem has been written at that time when India was not free. India was under the rule of British. So when India was under the rule of British, Rabindranath Tagore wrote this poem, and in this poem he draws an ideal picture of free India. This poem is basically a sort of prayer, or we can say it is an invocation. Here the poet directly prays to God. He prays to God to awaken his country into a dawn of freedom. In free India, that is when India will achieve freedom, people should be fearless and they will feel pride of their motherland. Not only this, but education will be free for all, as it is not possible in the British India. There should be no distinction on the basis of caste or religion. So people will only focus about their perfection in various walks of life. Rather, we can say here that perfection should be their main aim. Moreover, Indian citizens should follow reason. They should not get stuck to the old customs, old traditions, superstitious beliefs which are useless. But they should be guided. They should think logically, reasonably. He prays in this poem to God, lead my people for the betterment and prosperity of his country. Now, dear students, let's go through the lines in the poem. Here, the poem starts, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where a clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. In these lines, dear students, what the author has said, what he wants to convey, the poet starts to imagine that he would like his country to be what to be. That means he says that his country should be his countrymen. He says that his countrymen should be fearless. They should not feel any sort of fear. Instead, they should hold their heads up fearlessly. That means to live a dignified life and have confidence in themselves. Moreover, knowledge should be available to all citizens. Here we can say that all educational institutions, they should admit the students of we can say that of all races, classes, castes, etc. All should be able to acquire knowledge freely. His countrymen, author says, his countrymen, he imagines his countrymen should not suffer from narrow mindedness, which can create divisions among them, that means among the society in which they are living. Instead, they should be united to fight together against a common enemy to determine their common fate. Dear students, here the poet further says in these lines that in the India of his dreams, everyone should speak truth. That means everybody should be an upright man, an honest man. Truth must be their character. They should continue making endless efforts to achieve perfection in all fields of life. They should be guided by reason and logic and not by old habits and customs. Reason and logic will lead them onto the path of progress and prosperity. And old customs, old superstitious beliefs will destroy them because they are of no use, they have become useless. Furthermore, the author goes in these lines, while the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and actions, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. There are certain words, dear students, like striving. Here, striving means trying. Dreary means dull. Led forward means guided. Heaven, you know that, is a place where you are protected from danger and trouble. It's a place of eternal bliss. In these lines, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and actions, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. In these lines, the poet prays directly to God again to guide the minds of his countrymen so that they would broaden the horizon of both their thoughts and actions. He prays that his country should be a place of complete freedom where its citizens would be truly free. So it's a very short poem consisting of 10 to 11 lines. It's very nice poem. You can understand it. It's very easy. The words are not tough as you may think about it. They are very simple. So you can go through this poem and you will understand it as we are trying this time to understand this poem. Dear students, there are certain words like in the first line here is head is held high. It means that people live with dignity and self-respect. People should feel to live a dignified life. The world has not been broken up into fragments. What does it mean here? It means that human society in which they are living is not divided into groups. One more thing, while tireless, striving stretches its arms towards perfection, that people should make continuous efforts to achieve perfection in all walks of life. The clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. So here we can say that the old traditions, superstitious beliefs, which may make people unprogressive and directionless, as in a fearful desert, does not destroy the reason. So people should leave them, but they should think reasonably and logically here, students. Again, the mind is led forward by thee. That means the actions and thoughts of his countrymen must be guided by God. Here poet prays, O God, guide their actions and their thoughts so that they can achieve more and more and will lead their country towards peace, progress, and prosperity. So, I think you might have understood this poem. Dear students, it was just an explanation of the poem. You know that the poet employs certain poetic devices in a poem, or we call them literary devices. So, what are the literary devices or the poetic devices that have been used or employed by the poet in this poem? First device which is visible in this poem is that is here alliteration. You know that what's alliteration? Alliteration is basically a repetition of sequence, a repetition of consonant sounds in a sequence of words, or we can simply say alliteration resembles with a tongue twister. I have already make you people understood in the previous lectures. Like we can say that she sells seashells by the seashore. Here in this poem, there is also use of alliteration. Head is held high. Head held high. You know that all the three words they are pronounced by the same consonant sound. Dreary desert, sand of dead habit. So alliteration is here visible. One more poetic device in this poem is that is a metaphor. Metaphor is a direct comparison. You know it, that simile and metaphor, they are you must have understood them from the lower classes. So from this poem there are certain examples which have been used as a metaphor, like while the world has not been broken up into fragments. So it is here a metaphor. The clear stream of reason, it is here a metaphor. The head is held high. So these are the sentences from the poem where the mind is without fear, or use it as metaphor. So metaphor is one more device that has been used in this poem, that's visible from the poem. And one more is that personification. Dear students, you know that what's personification? It is simply giving human-like characters to non-living things. Examples from the poem are where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. So this is example from the poem. It is the example of personification. Let my country awake. So you know that if we take the sentence, let my country awake, it's a country is a non-living thing. Let my country awake. Here it has been given some living features or human-like features. So it is here the personification. One more poetic device, that's imagery. What is imagery? Imagery means imagination, or we can say that creates picture in our mind. Such a use of technique which creates picture in our mind, that's imagery. Clear stream of reason. When you go through this light, it creates a picture in your mind, that's imagery. Dreary desert sand of dead habit. When you go through this sentence or through this poem, this stanza, it creates a picture in your mind. Depth of truth. Head is held high. So these are some techniques, these are some devices, or we can say these sentences they create a sort of picture, so we can put them into imagery. So dear students, there are different poetic devices that have been employed in this poem. One is alliteration. Example is head is held high, dreary desert sand of dead habit. There is metaphor also. Examples are where the world has not been broken up into fragments, the clear stream of reason, the head is held high, and one more, that's personification, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Let my country awake. So it is here personification, and imagery creates picture in our mind. Dreary desert sand of dead habit, depth of truth, head is held high. So these are different poetic devices that have been used in this poem. When you will go through this poem, you will read it again and again, you will understand it, and there will not be any problem for you people if some questions are asked from this poem. It's very easy, it's very simple poem, but its meaning is very, we can say it has a deep meaning. So please go through this poem. Inshallah, I hope that you will understand it nicely. Khuda Hafiz.